Welcome everybody to another episode of the TGB Podcast. It's Dylan back here with my good friend Zach. What's going on, man?
Not too much, man. Thanks for having me.
So just a second ago, you were saying you're watching like WWE. Do you think like WWE is like too fucking long with 3 hours being for Raw?
Yeah.
That's way too fucking long, right?
That's like pay-per-view length.
Yeah, exactly. Because by the end of it, you're just burnt out and it feels like nothing happens.
Well, Raw used to always be 2 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Back when that was when I watched, I think. And 3 hours, I feel like it's almost too much content every week.
Totally. Oh, and imagine trying to write for that shit, dude.
Oh, it'd be crazy.
Now, like, we're saying Raw is too long with 3 hours. Like, WrestleMania, I think that's like, what, 6-8 hours? Like, with all the content, like, they do the fight interviews and the post-show or whatever the fuck. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah, it's, that is super long. We watched the Rumble.
Yeah.
And that was, what was that, 4 hours?
It felt, yeah, because we got there at 8. It ended at, like, midnight.
Yeah, it was, and that, like, for the Rumble, like, you're doing the Women's Rumble and the Men's Rumble now, 2 Rumbles, like, that's understandably a long pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But, and that one, I thought, like, Daniel Bryan's match, I found, like, that was just super flat, because any match that tries to follow a Rumble, like, before, they used to have, like, the main event, like,
usually the Rumble was the main event, but now that they have 2 Rumbles.
They'd have, like, the title match main event, and then it's, like, to close the night, Rumble. Like, the Royal Rumble, that's, like, the grand main event. Like, that's the pay-per-view. Like, but now I feel like, you can't follow a match with a Rumble because everyone's exhausted. It's not like a Rumble's, like, a 10-minute match.
No.
Like, that's a journey. You know, you're on it, and then, you know, then Daniel Bryan, he comes out for his match, and everyone's kind of like, okay, bro, like, let's get our breath.
Yeah, you're tired. It became the piss break match.
It did, yeah.
Do you think we'll ever get to a point, though, where, like, because they kind of tested the waters with beating the shit out of Nia Jax this year, which was, again, fucking hilarious.
It was,
Randy Orton was put on this earth to deliver that RKO.
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe they'll do, like, one Rumble? They'll eventually go down to one Rumble, but have 15 men and 15 women in it?
I think it will probably. Like, I remember China did a Rumble way back.
Yeah.
And, but, like, they used to viciously, like, the men used to viciously attack women. Like, Steve Austin, Triple H. Like, I remember them, like, chair shot and lead to the head. And, and, like, Mae Young with Bubba Dudley powerbombed
through a table.
Like, and now it's like,
this is the shit we grew up on. This is insane shit.
Now it's like, that was, like, groundbreaking when Nia Jax got, like, RKO'd and all that. And, like, but it's like, back in the day, it's like, we watched, like, a grandmother get powerbombed off the stage in a neck brace.
And that was just Monday night.
That's Monday Night Raw. That was, like, she came out in the wheelchair too. I remember just watching the match.
There was one. It was China entering the Rumble. The first time she enters, she throws out Mark Henry, so she gets her big, like, oh my god. And then you see Austin standing behind her, who is the good guy at this point.
Yeah.
He just flips her off and then just decks her with everything he got and throws her out. Like, that's something a bad guy do. No, that's
and the crowd loved it.
Yeah, the crowd was like,
crazy. And the crowd went pretty crazy when Nia Jax, like, got in, because, like, and when you and I were watching, we were like, oh, they're gonna hit her, like, it's gonna be one of those angles where, like, they don't, no one hits her, and, like,
she wins,
trips her over the rope or something.
Yeah, something lame.
And then it was Dolph Ziggler, wasn't it, who, like, super kicked her.
Yeah.
And then 619, and then I like how Orton at first, he was like, stop. He was about to RKO, and he freezes. He's like, like, and he doesn't do it. Then the second time he sees everyone, like, beating her up, he's like, no, RKO.
This is time. To me, I think, I was kind of hoping, like, looking back, it's cool that she got all the finishers, just to show us, like, yep, we're doing it now. But I really would have just loved in a moment, like, she would have been like, taunt, and then just ate an RKO. Like, that was just it. And then Randy Orton just get up and grin. Like, just that heel shit-eating grin. It was just like, yeah, you jumped in this ring.
Yeah. I kind of wish it was Orton that got her first. Like, Ziggler's cool. Like, it's cool.
It just didn't have the same impact.
No, like, if, like, to break the ground, it's like an RKO. That's the move to do it. Like, out of nowhere kind of thing. You know, like the famous phrase, like, she turns around, Orton, like, makes her eat an RKO kind of thing.
I think the idea is maybe because Ziggler's could hit her into the ropes and then stick her out, like, they all flowed. But I'm like, if you really, because this is wrestling, there are no real rules to it. RKO her, right? Because that kicks it off, because that's the big move, right?
Yeah.
She bounces up into, like, she's like, almost like when Scott Hall used to take the stunner, he'd stand right back up, then fall over.
Yeah.
You could do that where she gets up for a second and then kind of, like, stumbles into the rope, 619, and then super kick her out. That would be even cooler, I think.
I think the only way, like, the only reason probably they didn't do that was because she's so big, like it probably would have been tougher to bounce up. Like
yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah,
I guess so. Scott Hall was too, but like I guess.
Well, Scott Hall too though was broader, you know what I mean? Like he wasn't like Nia Jax is beautiful, but Nia Jax is a bigger woman, like chubbier.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, again, when Scott Hall would do it, he would go down, like he would almost bend down and then hop.
Yeah, a lot of people when they get stunned, they would hit their knees, and he would just bend real low.
Yeah.
And then just fly back.
Which I love that because what you need to do is do the stunner on him and then immediately like a rock bottom because he goes right into that fallback.
Yeah, he it was far cry from Vince's first stunner.
Vince just laid there.
It just goes numb and then flopping fish out of water on the ring.
Did you ever see Mick Foley's interview on that where he's like, yeah, everybody in the back was watching. And he's like, the first stunner was so awesome on Vince. Vince's reaction, not so good, but otherwise a great fucking moment.
Yeah, you could tell he wasn't a wrestler that first stunner. He got better, like his WrestleMania 22 match with HBK.
Oh my god,
that was like a good match. Like I know he had a ton of like Spirit Squad, Shane O'Mac.
Yeah,
but, it was actually like watchable with Vince.
That moment, see, Vince is such a great character. That moment where he's looking over the ring, he's all bloody. He looks like he's evil. It's like that's the scariest thing I've ever fucking seen in my life.
Yeah. He it's funny, like his blood vessels, like it's crazy he hasn't like just broken all the blood vessels in his body. It's like his face, like he punctures them all out.
Oh my god, Vince McMahon I think is certifiably nuts.
Yeah,
there's no way you can do like you know the story about Vince like tearing both quads jumping into the ring.
Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Well, Edge told a story here recently where he's like, because I was the last guy in before they flew over.
Yes, I watched that actually.
Yeah, because he's just like, Vince had to clear the hall so he could attempt to walk with torn fucking quads because he didn't want help. It's like that you can't act that way. You're just born that way. You know what I mean? You don't develop that insanity.
Yeah, I heard a story. He only gets like 3 hours sleep every night. And he doesn't let anyone sleep on his private jet. Like if you're on his private jet,
he fucks with you.
You're not allowed to sleep. Like that's like kind of like the ultimate disrespectful move.
Yeah.
But there were stories like he's nuts. He went back in like the 90s. He used to go drinking sometimes with like the top stars like Hogan and
Kevin
Bret Hart
Nash.
and stuff. Yeah. And he'd get hammered and he'd let the tag teams do their finishers. Yeah. And one guy, like one team, I forget who, did their finisher and it was kind of really light, like because they knew he was the boss. Yeah. And then I think it was Jim Neidhart and Bret Hart did their tag finisher to him, and it was like they actually did it to him. And I guess he was pissed. Like he was laughing after the first one. He got that one. And, like it just
hurt. It's like what the fuck, guys?
Jesus Christ. He was pissed.
Just speaking of the Hart Foundation, I realized this the other day and it made me really like depressed. Bret Hart is the only surviving member of the Hart Foundation. Yeah. It's like, dude. And they all weren't like old, like just
Owen,
Owens was an accident.
Yeah.
What was it? Brian Pillman's, was his a suicide or was his an overdose?
I think he shot. No, yeah.
I think he I think there.
Did he shoot himself? No.
Here's the thing. What I'm thinking, I'm getting it confused with. I think he shoots Steve Austin on TV.
Yeah, he had the gun in his home, and it was like, and then Austin breaks in, and and then the cameras cut out. Like, think about like wrestling then compared to now. Like, there was a home invasion.
Oh my god!
And a man with a revolver. Yeah. And like he's getting interviewed, and then the camera feed cuts out. You're like, did he get shot? They cut back on later. And it was like chaos, but I don't think he did.
Vince McMahon's with holding the gun to Vince's head.
Yeah.
And then he's like,
bang.
Yeah, what was it? Like 316 says I just pissed my pants or something that. Vince is, for as much as Vince, does his egotistical thing, the thing that makes Vince so good is Vince always gets his comeuppance. He never wins. He always he winds up with his head in Big Show's ass or something like that,
Yeah, and I like it because he says, like, I always give, like, the fans what they want. Yeah. And like you hate him as a person and as a character kind of thing. Yeah. But, like he makes that character, but like
oh my God.
He really does like, he's the brains behind the whole operation. He kind of just gives it to you all and it's like
definitely. I think no other person was really suited for that type of comedy because he came in, what Vince did is he took kind of this cartoon thing like in the early 90s, adapted it with kind of that MTV like grunge vibe, not really grunge, but that attitude, like the attitude era, and just like fucking let it loose. I think that's what Vince did. Vince took his reins and loosened it, versus today where it's like so tight and rigid because they're so public and child friendly. Now it's like everything is so formulaic that it's become like not genuine, but like it's too forced, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of like back right now, I kind of think it's like the 80s back when everyone was a character, except it's kind of like for the kids, except now everyone uses their their name,
Yeah.
Like, it might be a stage name, but it's their real name, like John Cena and whatnot. But whereas back then you had like Vader, Doink the Clown,
Duke
like,
the Dumpster,
Dude Love,
exactly.
everyone was just a character. And Dude Love was Attitude Era, but
Dude Love though was like the three faces of Foley, because we all knew it was McFoley, but that whole like Mankind, like he has a split personality between those three was awesome. Like
that was awesome.
The moment, I think it's Royal Rumble 2000, like leading up to that,
All
when he changes into Cactus Jack like mid like speech and he rips off his shirt, he's like, what is it? Mankind can't fight you. And he's like, but this guy can. His name is Cactus. And you're like, oh shit, Cactus is nuts.
Yeah, because that was his ECW persona, I think, first.
Yeah.
Before he came to the WWF.
That was the one where like he tore his ear off and like ruptured his like whole body.
Yeah, no one has gone through more hell for their job than Mick Foley.
I feel like anybody who says wrestling, wrestlers are pussies, say that to Mick Foley. Look him in the eye and say that, and see what happens. Because I feel like the world will just like the universe will have karma and kill you there.
Yeah, I hate how people say wrestling's fake. Wrestling to me is not fake; it's scripted.
Totally. It's predetermined. Yeah,
and like sure, like the punches when these like you're not hitting with a closed fist, but you can't fake like going through an announce table, like a pedigree through the announce table. That's still gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, sure, it's like the table might break, give away, and set up like that, but it's no matter what, like it's gonna hurt. You're gonna be sore from it. Like it's not like you have to be an athlete to do it.
Oh my god, yeah. And the thing is,
unless you're Rikishi.
Well, I mean,
but he was super flexible.
Well, did you see whenever he'd get clotheslined, he'd do like a full-on 360 spin? It's like for a 350-pound big man to do that. That's natural athleticism, and no matter how big
he could do the high kicks, like the super kick kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm what 195 pounds. I can't do that shit.
Oh no way in hell I could do that.
No, I'm just gonna fall.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Blow a knee out.
Tear my ACL.
The funny thing is, I want them to do a storyline one day where it's like they have a Samoan come in, but he's like the smallest Samoan like ever, just to like I'm the runt of the family, and all the family give Rikishi and like the Rock being like you're never gonna make it, and he like wins the title.
Yeah,
I would love to see that.
Baby Umaga or something.
Yeah, just give him a cruiserweight. Make him like
the face paint, but he's like 5'4".
Yeah, or just like maybe normal size, because every Samoan in wrestling is huge.
Yeah. Even The Rock now.
What's The Rock? 6'5"?
Yeah.
At minimum, it's like it's either really tall and buff or really fat. You know what I mean? Like Rey
Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio is Mexican though.
Oh, true.
Yeah, he's not Samoan.
Yeah, for the Samoans.
Well, it's Hispanic, I should say. He's not from Mexico.
Yeah, Samoans. I'm trying to think.
The Islanders.
Umaga's the last one that I remember.
The Usos are Samoan.
Okay. Yeah.
But they're a tag team too, you know what I mean? But they're still like compare them to a normal dude. Yet again, if you compare any wrestler except to a normal dude, like even you say cruiserweights, like remember Enzo Amore?
Yep.
He's taller than I am, and I keep thinking like, oh, he's a small dude. No, he's just standing next to a 7-footer. He's my size. It's like, damn.
Yeah, that is crazy. Like thinking back, like the cruiserweight era, mostly when I was watching up, it was like Hurricane Helms. Mysterio, like Spike Dudley, I think.
Do you remember the angle where Spike Dudley became the boss of the Dudleys?
Yeah.
When he would just he was the one ordering Bubba, smacking Bubba and Devon. There was one where it's like Big Show smashed both Dudley boys, and then Spike goes up and pushes him, like no fear in him whatsoever. And then I think it's Michael Cole goes, "That ain't gonna work, Spike."
I feel bad for Spike Dudley because he would always like kind of do anything for the performance. He'd put his body on the line. Even TLC when like the big one, he gets pushed goes off the ladder, but like it's like man, like that guy would take shots, but he never had any kind of a push really, like any big push.
Yeah, no.
Like I feel bad. Like obviously he's a smaller guy for WWE, and Vince likes the bigger guys, but like
he was just so small. But what was the? Oh, I remember to me this is one of the worst injuries I've seen, just because. it's relatable to me. Like, I've never been hit in the head with a chair, but I have banged the back of my head.
Yeah.
He gets choke slammed off the top rope through 2 tables, and he goes back first, but he only lands through the first one because they're lined up like this, and he cracks the back of his head, like it whiplashes off because the other one doesn't break, and you just see the pain in his face. Like, he immediately goes red. It's like, oh my fuck.
Yeah, that hurts. That hurts. The one I remember, I had the Armageddon pay-per-view 06, and Joey Mercury got the ladder
to the face,
and at first, like, I saw the blood, and I would have been 2006, I would have been 10 or 11.
Yep.
And I remember when I was, because I watched it live, and I thought it was staged at first.
Yeah.
I thought it was part of the script.
Yeah.
And then afterwards I found out, it was like, holy shit, like, that was real.
Yep.
Like, because he was pouring blood.
Oh, man. Like, there's a difference between a normal wrestling cut, which just kind of drips out. So, like, this one, like, his face was down, and you just seen it pooling out. Like, it's like, oh.
I mean, and I remember thinking when I watched it, like, how it looked so real because his eye swelled shut. And I'm like, man, like, that could... but you weren't sure. Like, I'm like, as dumb as it sounds, because when I watched it again, it's like, oh, obviously that's real. Oh. But, like, there's no... pay-per-view then, like, you're watching it live, no rewind, anything like that. So the first time, and they're showing replays, but it's like, man, like, that looks really real. Oh. But, like, it's like you weren't sure. I was like, man, like, did that actually, like, do that? Because that looks brutal.
I can't imagine what the next day, how bad that hurts. Like, and you probably have to wrestle the next day because I think I know Vince well enough. You're like, well, let's put him in with Benoit crossface, the fucker. You know what I mean? Like,
just attack the injury.
Let's attack the injury. Like, put him in the crossface. Benoit would do that, wouldn't
he? Yeah. He wore the mask for a while. The nose mask. He would have had to, like, that, like, completely shattered his like eye.
Like
his eye socket, his
cheekbone,
nose or something. Cheekbone.
Yeah. I would, like, at that point, I'd be like, yeah, I can see why wrestlers turn to drugs because it's like, ouch.
Painkillers.
Oh my god, yeah. It's like,
you'd be down in them.
You're never off because it's like the days you're off, you're still sore. You don't get a full day to recover, and then you're back taking bumps. It's like falling, like, even just like falling, like, from a squat position onto your back, even on a wrestling ring, still hurts. Like, there's still that pain. And after doing it after a while, you start getting tired. The more you get tired, the less care you take. Wind gets knocked out of you. You bang your head. You trip. Hell, what was it? Neville slid under Chris Jericho like a baseball slide and stood up and just broke his ankle. It's like... And he didn't even do anything. He just stood up.
I didn't see that one.
Sid Vicious jumped off the second rope and shattered his knee like it was hanging.
Oh, it's like, man. Yeah, the gruesome ones are just what kill me. Like, I remember another bad one was Shane O'Mac and Kurt Angle, and the glass was real.
Oh my god!
And it wasn't like hitting the glass, but then he goes straight down, and it's straight concrete.
Yep.
And he head first, and there was a crack, and that skull on concrete. You're like, Jesus, that would hurt.
And then he throws him through it throws at him again. He goes through,
and then he throws him again, and he doesn't
go. Then he goes through again.
The funniest thing in that whole thing I find isn't even Shane saying keep putting me through. I think it'd be Kurt Angle going through, having it not break. You're exhausted. You're dead. You just had the shit kicked out of you.
And I think he broke his tailbone before that.
Yeah, he did, because when he got suplexed.
Yeah.
And I think he whispered to Shane or something like, I think I broke my tailbone. Oh. And Shane, he was saying in an interview after, Shane was like, he's like, I was thinking when I heard him say that, like, what? Like, what the? Like, no, like, we got to go. But I find the funniest thing would be Kurt Angle. Hearing Shane go, put me through it, and you have, like, a cracked or broken tailbone, and being like, fuck. Putting him through the first time, being like, Jesus, like, thank God we got through that glass. Him saying, do it again.
Yeah.
You'd be like, ugh. You put him through, doesn't break, and you'd just be sitting there, fuck.
The last time he doesn't suplex him, he grabbed him and he throws.
Just smashed it through, like, get through that glass. Like, you're going through.
And seeing as that was, like, real glass, you can tell, like, there's glass in that cut, and they're still going. It's like, you know, I wouldn't blame a single person if they did it, because no normal human being does that. Like, I get fucking, a fucking splinter, I'm going off cash and picking that thing out. I'm not finishing my job.
Just today at work, I had an eyelash go in my eye, and I was like, nope.
I need a minute.
I need a break. Give me 5. I'll be back.
Jesus fuck.
But yeah, it's a gruesome business.
And here's the thing that I think is the slimiest but also the dumbest thing on the wrestlers' part. Unionize that shit. For the reason being, it's like, get WWE to pay for some health
benefits.
Yeah.
That's the main reason.
Yeah, because, well, basically, it's like they're independent contractors, but they can't work anywhere else while under contract with them. It's like, so they're not independent, they're employees.
Yeah.
Until their contract is up. You should give them pay into some benefits like film companies do to people who are contractors. You know, if they're going to be there for a while, they pay into stuff.
Yeah. Think about the old days when, like the Attitude Era, how hurt those guys would get, but they weren't getting paid all that much.
Oh my God.
Like maybe the big stars, but like the, mid-tier level guys, it's like if you get hurt, you need the paycheck because you need the pay to just go to the doctor, and B, so you probably would be skipping a lot of doctor appointments for concussions and all that stuff. You wonder why they're dying, like why wrestlers die so young. It's because if they had like a concussion or something, they weren't sitting any time. It's like, we need the paycheck.
Yeah.
We're not paying.
Drive my head through some glass.
Because it's not like Canada. In the States, it's like you got to go to the doctor to check on a concussion. There's a couple hundred, if not like $1,000
right there. Here's the thing. I'm going to go on a rant here. Do you remember a few years ago, like probably, I don't know, maybe, it could have been 10 years now for all I know, when Sidney Crosby got hit and he had that concussion, and then all of a sudden,
it changed everything.
Everybody started talking about concussions.
Yep.
When I think it was 2 or 3 years prior to that, Chris Benoit murdered his family, and the general consensus was his brain was so fucked from getting hit in the head so many times throughout his career, like concussions. Why the fuck didn't that change everything?
Yeah.
And it's like, nothing, I'm glad something did. I just felt the wrong fucking thing.
Yeah, you think murdering your, 8-year-old son or however old his son was and his wife, and then killing yourself?
Yeah.
It's like, if you're on the outside looking in, are you not thinking like, oh, okay, like there's some serious damage to that head?
Yeah. And I think with that case, and obviously it's a horrible fucking thing. I don't think I have to explain it to you or the audience, but there's always going to be that one person, why aren't you talking about how shitty it was for him to do that? It's because it's implied. He killed 2 people.
And he's a murderer.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit for that.
Yeah.
And he was my favorite wrestler, and I can't hide behind the fact that it's like, I'm watching a murderer right now.
It sucks because how could you not love Benoit the wrestler?
Oh my God, he was amazing.
He literally would put everything, like it was 110% every show. It wasn't like some shows, if he was like half injured, he'd go 70%.
Yeah.
If he had his head smashed in, he'd climb up a ladder and deliver a flying headbutt. He was that guy who it didn't matter. He's going to get the match done.
Doing it.
And he's going to get you in it. But then it's like, you can't like him because
exactly.
he murdered his family. You know what I mean?
It's like that, for fuck's sake. It's like, trying to differentiate him from his actions, but it's like, it's hard. It's hard. It's like watching OJ. It's like, okay, that's the guy that killed his wife.
Yeah.
But Benoit, to me, defined the word intensity. Because there was everything he did, it was, he was grunting, he was smashing people. It's like I feel like I wouldn't want to be in the ring with him because I'm like, he's not going to take it easy on me. He's going to throw me around as safely as he can. It's going to fucking hurt.
He had a cruiserweight size. Yeah. But was a heavyweight champion because of his intensity and his passion and the work ethic.
Well, I always loved too when he would be fighting with someone like Big Show, and then all of a sudden he'd kind of almost monkey climb around him with a weird counter and roll and grab his leg. It's like, that was cool shit, like that technical chain wrestling stuff. Yep. I'm a big fan of like flying cruiserweights, and then a big fan of that chain wrestling stuff. So it was always interesting to see how he kind of did both, because he would do the suicide dive and the flying headbutt. It was...
Yeah, it's funny because for submissions for finishers, I'm not a huge fan of. Yeah. Because rarely are they so exciting. Yeah. That it's not like a Stone Cold Stunner. Yeah. Where it's like, wow, it's like, there's the crippler crossface. Yeah. That was the most... You see the crossface and you're in it. You're like Walls of Jericho, for example... I've when I wrestled my brother on my trampoline, he'd give me the Walls of Jericho and it hurts. Yeah. Your back, it's bending, it hurts so bad, but watching the Walls of Jericho isn't all that exciting. Yeah.
Because usually Jericho, he's so tired, he's not sitting either, he's standing up.
Yeah, and besides when he did it on the ladder, which would have been insane.
Yeah.
Like, painful, but, like, it's just not, like, even John Cena when he had the STFU.
Oh, that was always shit.
It was never that exciting, but the crossface, it's like,
Ben
walked in the crossface, and you're like, oh my god!
Yeah. Well, the fact that, too, like, WrestleMania 20 ended with a submission in the middle of the ring, and it was the most dramatic because he's getting to the ropes, you're thinking, oh, he's going to grab it, and then he pushes himself, and you think, oh, he countered it, but no, he held on, and right in the center, now he's fucked.
Yeah.
And he's still, like, he's trying, and then he held it for that perfect amount of time, and then tapped.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame that he ended things the way he did. Because I remember I was getting excited to watch One Night Stand, and he was going to win the ECW title.
Yeah.
And then they had to replace him with, like, Johnny Nitro.
Yeah, and Johnny Nitro, one of all things. It's like, what?
And that's another thing on the insanity of Vince. It's like, I understand not canceling the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But Vince is like, that match is still going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if this guy just murdered his family, killed himself. We're still having that ECW match.
To be fair to Vince, I don't think they found out until the next day because they did a tribute show to him.
That's right, because he did it on the day of the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think that was right,
too.
And they found him on Monday, and then they had that whole show, and then the next day, everybody kind of put two and two together, and they're like, we just did that. Oh, fuck. And then Vince comes on ECW hard, is like, other than what I'm about to say, we'll never talk about him again. We're here to entertain you. And I feel like you can see it in Vince's eyes, too, that Vince is pissed.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever heard we're going to go down the conspiracy road now.
Yep.
Have you ever heard that Daniel Benoit, Chris's son, who he murdered, wasn't actually Daniel's son, he was Vince's?
No.
So this is an interesting conspiracy. Don't know if it's true, highly doubt it. But it makes for an interesting story. So when Benoit started coming around WWF, he was with his wife Nancy Benoit, who was once Nancy Sullivan, Kevin Sullivan's wife, who Benoit had an affair with. So the rumor is that maybe when she started hanging around, because Vince really liked her apparently, but she didn't want to be on TV, that Vince may have slept with her. And again, this is all rumors. Again, this is just what I've heard over the years. But that he had sex with her, and Daniel is actually Vince's son. That's why the whole thing hits Vince so hard, because Vince knew he was his son. Ooh. And I think that the idea is like maybe Chris found out and that set him off. But I doubt it. But that, just think about that. It's like, wouldn't that throw a fucking wrench in everything? It's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think that was like a devastating thing for the like, obviously, like,
oh, yeah.
I don't, like you said earlier, like, you don't have to just explain how devastating like a double murder suicide is, but like for that company it was devastating too, because like, excuse me, one of your faces, like a superstar who was a fan favorite, does this horrid thing, and without knowing it, you all after the fact paid a huge tribute show to this guy, like Eddie Guerrero style tribute. And then it's the next day you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
We all just like praise this guy as a hero. Yeah. And he's a monster.
Yep.
Like, oh shit, that's not a good look for our company.
I remember being a kid. I think I was in the 7th grade when this happened. Yes, I would have been, because it was 2007. I was in 7th grade. Easy to remember that shit.
Nice.
Yeah, nice, man. Good tactic.
Little side fact there.
And I remember watching Raw. I was like, God damn, this is hard. And then I was waiting until SmackDown. I hadn't heard the news of any of this theory coming out about Benoit killing everybody. So when they go to SmackDown, it's just normal SmackDown. I'm like, well, fuck Benoit, I guess. Eddie Guerrero got like a whole week. This guy gets one day. He's Canadian. Fuck him. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I went on this anti-WWE like for a week, and then I found out, I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And then it's like, had I been legal age, I would have went to a bar after that. I'm like, guys, I need something for this. I can't do this. It's like, I've kind of learned over the years, like, my heroes, as I've gotten older, are, like, shitty people, like, they turn out to be. It's like, now it's like, no, it's like, all I need now is Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, something horrible with him, you know what I mean? Like, he runs child slavery or something. Yeah. Like, fuck. I feel like, who was it? It was Benoit, and there was another guy. I can't even remember. I guess he wasn't that big.
You don't have any other examples of a horrid hero that you have?
I'm sure I do, but I can't think of it. Camera shot off, but podcast still going strong.
Nice.
But yeah, like, oh my god. So, WrestleMania this year. What do you hope to see?
Becky Lynch. Like I said, so I don't know, like, people listening, like, I stopped following wrestling for a long time. Like, about the PG era, I stopped watching because if this helps anything, the last pay-per-view that I have bought, like the most recent pay-per-view I bought, was Cyber Sunday 2008.
As soon as you said Cyber Sunday, you made that old, because Jesus Christ, that hasn't been a thing for years.
Yeah, so that's the last pay-per-view that I bought. And then I would have stopped following maybe 2 months later, right?
Yeah.
So it's been that long, and I didn't watch wrestling, but then Dylan brought me over to watch the Royal Rumble, and it was wicked. Like, I was blown away because for a while what got me out of it was how watered down. It was literally like watching a reality. It was like watching the Kardashians. I thought.
Totally.
It was just like a talk, like reality show, like Jersey Shore, and I hate those shows. I hate the Kardashian show, Jersey Shore, all those stupid shows.
Yeah.
Don't like them. And that's what wrestling was become. This was like, okay, this is stupid, so I stopped following. Back when I watched, the same year, I have a pay-per-view, Great American Bash 2008. I think it was 08.
Yeah.
No, Mysterio was champ. It was the...
It was 06 then.
06, yes. And they had the Punjabi prison match in that pay-per-view. But, there's bra and panty matches.
Yeah.
And it's like, now...
And as you're going through puberty, that is the greatest thing ever.
It is, yeah.
Wrestling was, back when I was going through puberty, it's like, this was like the original Pornhub for me. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
And I think WWE is going to try and take down this podcast for me comparing them to Pornhub.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But and as terrible it is to say, like, women wrestling back then, besides Lita, besides Trish Stratus, Chyna, there's obviously the exceptions, but a lot of it was like terrible.
Oh, totally.
And so it was a joke almost. And then I'm watching the Royal Rumble this year. And in my opinion, the Women's Rumble was the best match of the night.
Totally.
Way better than the Men's Rumble,
Totally.
I thought. It was insane. Like, everyone way outperformed Kofi Kingston going... The Men's Rumble had Kofi. Yeah. The Women's Rumble had, 7 people,
doing their own thing,
and, somehow get back in.
Well, that woman who did, the handstand and then wrapped her legs around the ring post and then, sat up. It's like, that the strength... I
can't do a sit-up.
Yeah. And it's like... And I'm like, speaking of Pornhub, it's like, I guarantee you a bunch of boys are just like, I like girls now, you know what I mean? They just realized they hit puberty then.
But I loved it too because, it doesn't, wrestling now, it's not sexualizing, and that might make me sound soft, but it's not sexualizing women.
No.
It's they're wicked performers.
Yeah.
They were given a hell of a show, and Rousey's fight was good, it was just super entertaining. You're into it, and Becky Lynch is and Charlotte. They're really they grab your attention and kind of
totally.
They're exciting. They're exciting to watch. So I thought I'm back into it now. And then the Men's Rumble was good too. But I'm getting back into it.
I think. Oh, just to go on right quick, because this happened in the past 2 Rumbles where a segment where someone comes in, you think that something's going to happen, and they don't. Rousey's debut.
Yeah.
Fucking took way too long and too much pointing at the WrestleMania sign. This year it was a Rousey thing again, but it was Sasha Banks, and she kept walking away and stopping and walking away and stopping. Do you remember that? Where it's do it or don't, shit or get off the pot type thing. You think, oh, she's gonna go run back and hit her, which is okay, do it. Oh, she doesn't, and then she stops. Oh, she's gonna do it, and then she stopped, and then she keeps going. It's just fucking do it.
I watched a conspiracy, I guess, but a conspiracy video.
Wrestling conspiracies are maybe the trashiest conspiracies, but they're the best.
But they're the most entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're like, this is just nuts enough to be wrestling, because wrestling is nuts.
Yeah, you're kind of accept the fact that you're nuts to watch wrestling.
Yeah.
And then you accept the fact that you're even more nuts to, enjoy this conspiracy theory about wrestling. It's just that awesome. But I was watching it, and apparently she was doing, the 4 horsemen.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that. That's what she was doing. And like I said, I hadn't been following wrestling before, that much since, so I don't know too much. Maybe that's a part of the storyline, and I just...
Well, what I'm to knowledge of, the 4 horsewomen in WWE are Lynch, Flair, Banks, and Bayley. Those are the 4 horsewomen, because they come out at NXT together, and they were the ones who kind of started this women's revolution in NXT. I think the 4 horsewomen for UFC are Rousey and 3 other people I don't know the name of. I'm sorry, I'm just not that big into UFC. But I think they're getting developmental deals too. I'm so they might do that 4 horsemen versus 4 horsewomen, you know what I mean? That fight. I'm but to me, You don't do that at Mania or anything. That's a Survivor Series match right there. Big Four, because it's like, it makes sense. Elimination match right there. Which team is dominant right there?
Yeah,
and
I agree.
That's one thing I love.
Or a SummerSlam or something.
SummerSlam would work. I just feel because Survivor Series is always that team match. You know what I mean?
It would be. Yeah, that'd be the ideal pay-per-view.
It's like, because to me, Survivor Series behind Rumble and Mania is my like next favorite, because I always love the 10-on-10 or 5-on-5 brawls like Survivor Series, because like sometimes you think, oh, the captain's usually the one who stays in, the captain gets taken out immediately. Yeah. I love that shit where you're like, who's gonna be the sole survivor? Who's gonna be like the 3 survivors? Whatever the hell, like, because like any number of combinations win. Like I remember one year Bray Wyatt was the sole survivor. I was like, yes, finally.
Yeah, it's even like that Survivor Series, SummerSlam, WrestleMania, and Royal Rumble have just survived the test of time. They're the 4 big ones.
Oh, yeah.
And Survivor Series always was, like, entertaining.
Cool as hell. Do you think Lynch, Flair, and Rousey should close the show at WrestleMania?
Yeah, I think so, because I thought they put on a better show at the Rumble.
Yep.
Easily.
I'm 100% with you. I think right now, strike while it's white hot and make history. Yeah. And right there, WWE has a moment right there to go to every news outlet. Look how progressive we've become now. We have women closing this show, and we got 100,000 people, and they're all cheering. It don't matter how many neckbeards are saying that women shouldn't be closing the show. It should be the title. It's like whoever's the biggest star in the company, that's the biggest match. I kind of like what Al Snow. Have you ever heard this? Have you ever seen WrestleMania 3's Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Randy Savage?
I've seen parts of it, I think, yeah.
It's heralded by a lot of people as the greatest match ever made. It was the same year Hogan slammed Andre, the same pay-per-view. And everybody's like, that's the best match. And Al Snow's argument is like, no, the best match is the one that sold the most tickets. Therefore, it's the best automatically, because that's the one everybody wants to see. And it's like, Hogan and Andre, I'm like, I have to agree with him on that, because how many people know about the slam heard around the world? I can go up to my grandmother and I say, who did Hogan slam? She goes, Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think I read that Raw has been down in viewership. Like, they're actually, like, declining viewership. Yeah. They're losing all that view and stuff, ratings and stuff. And so I think right now is the perfect time to do it, because, you're starting to lose your viewers. What better to get it in the news, get all these moves, everyone's supporting it, right? Like,
oh my God,
it's kind of like something different. It's like you said, make news, makes news outside of wrestling. Like, if you get like on CNN or anywhere, it's just all the publicity.
Oh, totally.
Like that is where you're gonna, get views. People are gonna suddenly say like, oh, like I'll check that out. Like,
shit,
you're gonna attract a lot of people.
Like, even like watching, I can see like someone my dad's age would be like, oh, that's Ric Flair's daughter. Holy shit.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what they should publicize too.
And they show like clips of them beating the shit out of each other. It's like, holy shit, women have changed since I was watching wrestling.
They have. Well, they changed since 10 years ago when I watched it, because like I said, they used to be like all like Playboy models, whereas now it's like,
these are American gladiators.
I look at them and I hurt because they could kick the shit out of me. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Charlotte looks like an absolute beast. Mm-hmm. Like someone I would be scared to talk to because she would just destroy me.
And Ronda Rousey just is a legitimate beast.
She's Ronda Rousey.
Yeah. It's just
I wish she could cut a promo better, because she's got all the like physical like attributes you could want in your superstar.
Yeah.
But she struggles cutting promos.
I think, personally, this is just me, I like Rousey. Like, I like her as a person. I think she'd work better as an asshole, as a heel.
As a heel.
Because I think she's got that personality that a lot of people like to hate when she gets too cocky. She's natural at that, because everybody hated her when she got on her winning streak in UFC, because then she started getting, like, no show and respect, and everybody hated her for that. I'm like, bring that fucking back.
Make her a heel. Make her what she was what she was perfect at doing at UFC.
Yeah, it's like Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar, he was cool as a face when he was a wrestler, but when Sissy's come back, make him a heel. Have him be a heel, because it's like, you want to hate the guy who's like, I did this, left your company, succeeded there, and now I'm back just for the money. I'm going to kick your ass, and that's all I'm going to do.
Yeah, and back to making money and like headlines with the women main event.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't watch UFC, but I got the Mayweather-McGregor fight. I don't watch UFC, but I watched Rousey's fights. Like when she was like, at her peak. And it's like I don't follow it, but if you get something that's so big that you're gonna watch, now if you say Ronda Rousey headlining WrestleMania first time ever, people might just like it's a drinking event.
Oh my god!
Like that's like the guys like we all just got it on like pay-per-view, and it's kind of like. Yeah, like none of us watch UFC, but this will be big. This will be cool.
Like, let's have some beers and like fucking watch this shit.
Like we're not like we don't follow it, but it got us to buy the pay-per-view and checked it out. And it was wicked.
Could you imagine the first like men versus women's singles match in years? Imagine if they did Rousey versus Lesnar in a cage or something like in the octagon. I was like, dude, I have to tune in just to see what the fuck they're gonna pull with this.
Yeah, like Vince would have it all written up too.
Vince is like, all right, so we're gonna start out. Brock, you're the bad guy. You're gonna F5 the shit out of her for 15 minutes.
Yeah, smash her into the octagon.
Get a table, light it on fire.
F5 her off the octagon.
And then
onto the concrete floor below.
And Rousey's just gonna get up and, fight through it and put you in an armbar and it's over.
Yeah, that would be. I would watch that.
I would pay to see that. I'd be like, holy fuck, they've lost their minds. I have to be here for this.
And Brock is the guy who's nuts enough to like not care, like the whole like you never hit a woman.
Yeah.
Brock is nuts enough to just be like, fuck that.
Yeah, he's like, you're in the ring. When you're in the ring, I don't see gender. I see an enemy. You know what I mean? That. I don't want to toot my horn, but I can see that being a promo. I don't see a gender in the ring. I see an opponent.
No.
You know what I mean?
And like when Nia Jax went in, like. It was like, you see, like, just because it was the first woman, you're kind of like, whoa, like, are they going to hit her? But besides that, it's like, she looked like she could kick the shit out of, like, Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio. Like, you're kind of like, this girl could do some damage. Like,
yeah, and if you really want to, like, make that work, put them in with people around their size, you know what I mean? Or even
make it believable.
Yeah. It's like, don't have, like... that small girl who did like the handstand go up against Kane right away. You know, build into that. Like have maybe speed work, but don't like make anybody look like. Again, it's like the difference between men and women is what they piss out of for the most part.
Don't put Sasha Banks against Brock Lesnar.
Yeah,
like
It's like if you did that with Rey Mysterio, okay, make it a story about how this underdog because all it's gonna you can make that story work. You can have Sasha Banks beat Brock Lesnar. You have to tell it right though.
Yeah,
it's not because she's a woman. It's not because he's a man he can't be stopped. It's because she was smart. She was tactful. She took every hit and went with it.
Yeah, and she took them well. It wasn't like it wasn't like she was out of place. She didn't fuck up someone's finisher by just selling it wrong. Like she took them and it was like, damn.
This is your spot. Don't fuck it up. And I guarantee you 100% when she walked out of that curtain, she probably got that look from someone. Don't fuck this up.
Yeah, this is huge.
Yeah.
I find it so funny. How R-Truth just kind of got completely fucked over in the Rumble, but then he wins the U.S. title the next night, or the next week.
Which to me looks like I thought that was an accident because he gets the pin and then they start going into more moves and the ref's like, no, it's over. It's like, did the ref screw up? Did Shinsuke screw up?
And then they send out Shinsuke's opponent, Rusev,
yeah,
and then he gets beat same way.
Yeah, it's like what the fuck? I think that was Vince saying, "Truth, you've made me laugh for years." Here you go.
Yeah, because he's way older than I thought he was.
He was around in 2000, you know what I mean?
He's almost 50 years older, so he's 40.
He used to tag with Road Dogg after him and Billy Gunn broke up.
Yeah.
Which is just like, damn, that's old for a wrestler, you know what I mean? Because when you think of like remaining attitude people, you think of Undertaker, Kane, Big Show, Triple H. You don't think R-Truth, but R-Truth was there.
Yeah. It's funny because I remember like watching and he used to come in and do his, what's up? He'd come like the Sandman through the crowd.
Yeah.
And then he comes out at the Rumble and he's still doing the what's up. I'm like, R-Truth. Like,
he doesn't change.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Sandman's entrance in One Night Stand?
Yeah.
Where the crowd starts singing.
They do the entire song of Enter Sandman.
Yeah, and I was like, that's a perfect song for him because his name is Sandman, but it's that whole like, rebellious gimmick of like, we're not these bodybuilders, we're out of shape, we're drunks, but you know what? We'll fucking beat the shit out of each other for you.
I find it hilarious. Sandman is probably one of, if not the worst wrestlers I have ever seen in my life.
Yep.
Like he looks like, he just finished his day job plumbing. Now he's gonna hop into a ring and like do a match. It was so bad, but he got such a push because it was like this guy's just getting hammered. He's like the cheap man, like the poor man's Stone Cold Steve Austin.
He totally is.
Chugging a beer, coming up with a kendo stick, cracking himself open before he gets into the match. Like just
and he's wearing sweatpants.
Nuts. Yeah, and he's like out of shape. He's got a gut.
God, yeah.
And it was like, yeah.
I think that's the charm of ECW, though, is that these are like the ragtag group of wrestlers. Blue Meanie is the fattest thing I've, nothing wrong with Blue Meanie. I've watched his interviews. Blue Meanie is a guy I'd want to go grab a fucking beer with. But he's out of shape. He's fat. He's a fat fuck.
Yeah.
And Blue Meanie, I think, would never be one to, like, shy away from that fact. Like, the BWO is one of the funniest gimmicks.
Yeah.
Like, it's parroting, like, the blue guy, Big Stevie Cool, and what was it? Hollywood Nova, who became Simon Dean.
I think Paul Heyman, who he doesn't get enough credit for his storytelling.
Yeah,
because he's great on the mic. I know he does Brock Lesnar's mics, like his promos
mouthpiece.
He's his mouthpiece, but as an actual like booker,
oh yeah,
he was like insane. Like ECW, they had, like, for the most part, some good stories. Like, obviously, you see, like, looking back at, like, all the, like, highlights, it's, like, the glass taped to the gloves fist match where they're just, like, literally beating each other up with broken glass, and you're kind of like nice storyline.
Yeah.
But, like, some of it was real cool.
Oh, my God. Raven flourished in a place like that. Because he had that kind of weird, twisted mind.
And he didn't get too, like, I know he was in WWE and, like, he was like TLC. He came in for the Dudleys, I think.
Yeah.
No. Who was Edge and Christian?
Yeah.
He came in for Edge and Christian.
No, you're thinking Rhino. That's who you're thinking of. You're thinking Rhino.
I'm thinking Rhino. That's right. But no, he came in.
Raven was mostly a hardcore champion when he was wrestling in WWE.
Raven didn't do Spear as his finisher, did he?
No, that was Rhino.
Rhino.
He did the gore.
I am thinking of Rhino. Okay.
Yeah. Which I loved when Rhino would ever hit the gore, because Paul Heyman on commentary, gore.
Yeah, Joey Styles on commentary too was insane.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you mean, oh my God!
Did you ever hear, now I'm not usually one to, like, I don't like to attack a person's character, like a person themselves, but many years ago, have you ever heard Jim Cornette's rant about Joey Styles? Joey Styles is one of those ultra-conservative, kind of right-wing. There's nothing wrong with, having more right-wing, like, philosophies, as long as you're not harming anybody, but it was, like, conservative Christian, Barack Obama was a Muslim, that type of thing. Like, he was kind of tweeting that shit. And I lost a little bit of, like, you were so cool, why? Why'd you have to be, like, a little bit nuts, you know what I mean?
Me? Honestly, I never liked Joey Styles. I never, like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I
found that annoying myself.
Him an annoying commentator.
Yeah, totally.
And when he did his thing with Lawler, where he's like, they didn't let me commentate WrestleMania 22 only for the hardcore match. He's like, I'm a commentator. I did an ECW show all by myself.
And that was the show I put on mute.
And it's like, ECW went out of business.
Yeah.
Like, no one tuned in to watch. I mean, maybe a couple people. Like, some people loved it, but like,
ECW
I find, like,
was hardcore.
Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross was like, their commentating was one of, like, the best parts of the show, because, like, the play-by-play and the color commentary is, like,
bouncing up and forth. One of my favorite combinations is Jim Ross and Paul Heyman, because Paul Heyman is such an easy person to hate.
And Paul Heyman on commentary, I also hated.
Yeah,
because Jim Ross will be like, "What's he gonna do?" And Paul Heyman, like Jim Ross and Lawler would always kind of be like, "What's gonna happen?"
Yeah,
and Paul Heyman would be like, "He's gonna know what to cheer, you idiot!"
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
one of my favorite Paul Heyman
right
moments is he was managing, I think it might have been Kurt Angle, I can't remember. He had somebody in an ankle lock, and he's about to reach for the rope, and the ref is focusing on the guy reaching for the rope. Paul Heyman's there at ringside, and he reaches it and pulls the rope back, and he sits there and just laughs, and then the ref goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" He's like, "I wasn't doing nothing, I don't know what you're talking about." You know what I mean? He's like, "You're racist," something like that. Like, just those heel moments where he just, like, pulling the rope back, like, it's so theatrical, but so much fun. Like, how often does the fake tag happen where it's like the referee misses the tag when the good guy finally gets it, and he's like, whoa, you can't come in here.
Yeah, oh yeah. But it's always entertaining. Like, I loved Paul Heyman, and I guess still do, but as a manager, like a ringside guy, never liked him on commentary, really. But
I loved him.
I couldn't stand it. Like, I guess I was just more used to, like, King and Jim Ross.
Totally.
And then Taz and Michael Cole on SmackDown. Yeah. But that was also a good...
I liked both of them.
I did too. But Heyman, I find so... Like, Survivor Series 02, when Big Show and Lesnar were going off, and Big Show ends up winning.
Yeah.
That was when he was like with Big Show and not Lesnar.
He switched on him mid-match. He pulls the ref out and then decks him. I always loved how the single smallest push takes out a referee for ever. Yeah, it's like a WWE superstar takes a chair shot and then just stands up. A ref gets punched and he's gone for 5 minutes. They need a stretcher.
Yeah, you put your hand on the ref and just give him a light shove back, and he's dead for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
he straight up heartbeat has stopped.
And he always has the perfect timing to get up for when the bad guy is gonna win. You're like, no,
crawls to it. 1, 2.
Yeah. One of my favorite things they used to do in the Attitude Era, they'd involve referees in storylines, because I always loved when referees would start to fight each other. Like, no, like, when the invasion.
Yeah, who?
It was Nick Patrick and Earl Hebner.
Earl Hebner, that's who I'm thinking of.
Because Nick Patrick would always count quick for the WWE.
He was the SmackDown ref, wasn't he?
He was the WCW ref at first.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then, he would pull WWF refs out and hit them, and then Earl would come in and then gore him out of the ring. Yeah. Shitty wrestling was just to see someone hit the ref, you're like, yeah!
Yeah, yeah, Earl Hebner, because he originally got hated because Bret Hart, wasn't he? He was the ref in that.
Oh, he was the ref in the Screwed-Up. When you see that match, it's so funny to see how quick. As soon as he rings the bell, Earl Hebner jumps out of the ring and he's gone.
Yeah, and I found the storyline hilarious too when Earl Hebner had a twin.
Yeah,
you're like, Earl Hebner. There's 2 Earl Hebners.
Yeah, which one counted the 3?
Yeah.
Oh my God, some of the most bizarre stuff happens in wrestling. I think that's just what's. Generations, my grandfather to me to my son one day, it's a generational thing. It's like if someone in your family likes wrestling, most likely you're going to have a point in your life where you're going to love it because it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And this is what I feel. I feel too many people get out of wrestling for the wrong reasons. No, I don't mind if someone eventually goes, oh, this is stupid. But I hate when people get out of it because it's not real. Like they realize, it's not real, and they don't. It's like, that's not the point.
No, and I think it's Shane McMahon who's always saying, and Vince probably too, it's like they're telling a story.
Yeah.
You're watching a reality show, Survivor or something, or like, the Kardashians, Jersey Shore, like I said earlier, like, they're fake.
Yeah.
But a lot of people watch them.
Yeah, Game of Thrones. Basically, what you're watching is 2 big muscle-bound superheroes duke it out every week it could be from anything for a title to someone owning someone. I remember them doing that. I get custody of this kid.
Yeah, Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, they were fighting over
the ladder match for the custody.
Yeah,
it was like a Money in the Bank, but instead of a title contract, it was like we get custody of Dominic.
Oh, it's hilarious.
And then Vicky Guerrero missed her spot, and Eddie was like, "Get out of here, bitch!"
Yeah, he was so
Eddie, we're gonna forget that one.
Yeah, he's like, "Where the fuck was Vicky?"
Yeah, and then he loses. He's like, I think Ray pushes him off the ladder or something, and he doesn't even sell the fall. He's just punching the ground. It's like, Becky, fuck!
Yeah.
He's just screaming. He's so pissed.
Oh,
then she runs out way late.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it's I don't know whose fault is that. Is that people in the back telling her? Because there should be somebody on camera and watch that.
But I don't know. I feel like it was Hulk Hogan and Sid Vicious when
Papa Shango missed his cue.
Yeah,
big time. You see him. It's after the match. He comes running out and he's looking around.
Yeah, Ultimate. Yeah, was that Ultimate Warrior?
He comes out to help out Hogan.
Yeah, and it was way late. Hogan hit the leg drop and Vicious had a kick out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was because he just straight up missed his spot. Imagine being Sid and being well, what am I supposed to do? Fuck, kick out.
Yeah, it's are you there? Oh, he's gonna save me. He's gonna say, where the fuck is he? As he's coming out, you got 3 seconds to make that call.
You can't just lose by pinfall.
No, you're gonna look like an idiot.
It ruins the whole. Now, what's the whole point of him coming out if you just lost by pinfall?
Yeah. Oh, Papa Shango's coming out. Why? Because Papa Shango's coming out. You know.
He's back. Match is over. He's back.
Have you ever seen the Hogan Sting match where it's Sting loses the first fall? It's a normal match, but the idea is the referee's supposed to do a fast count, but the legend is Hogan told the ref count slow or count normally. Because Sting wasn't supposed to kick out, so the referee just looks like Sting just loses, because he just lost his match, and then Bret Hart's like, that was bullshit, you're gonna do it, and it makes Sting look like an idiot because he looks like he just lost the match because it looked like he just lost cleanly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes Sting look like an idiot right there.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. I didn't watch too much WCW, honestly.
To be honest with you, WCW has some like a cool angle with the NWO, but other than the cruiserweights, the matches are very clunky. A lot of like, obviously today's match is a lot more smoother. This one's a lot more. It's almost comparing like a PlayStation 1 video game to like a PS4. Like they're very different. You know?
Yeah, I like in the whole like battle versus Raw's War and stuff.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon did an interview on Off the Record and was like, Michael Landsberg was like, "What do you feel about everyone like Ted Turner buying all your top stars?" And Vince McMahon's like, "Oh, he can have them. Like, it's not the wrestlers, it's me. Like, I'm like,
yeah."
He's like, I can make like pretty much. I can't remember his word for word what he said, but pretty much like I can make turn water into wine.
Yeah.
Like he's like, doesn't take our big stars. We'll pay these guys. I can write the story, make them huge. Like,
yeah.
And he was saying when Cena was going to get fired or something, and then Triple H comes out and releases McMahon. This was like not too long ago.
Yeah.
But like before Triple H came out and he's saying he's going to fire Cena.
Yeah.
And he's saying like, I can make another John Cena. And he's like, he's kind of right. Like,
totally.
He's got a point.
It's who he's like, you're going to be my man, and I'm going to throw this, I'm going to shove you down everybody's throat until they like it.
Yeah.
It's like, I like Roman Reigns, but I think Roman Reigns had, like, it backfired on him because everybody, I think, liked him when he was part of the Shield, but as soon as he became, like, the guy, it's just like, okay, we got to gradually like him. That's what happened with Stone Cold. We gradually, fell in love with Stone Cold. We gradually loved Cena, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't like it didn't feel forced on us.
Yeah,
we have
Cena
to accept
started
him.
out as a heel.
Totally.
He was like the rapper. He'd take on Undertaker.
Yeah.
Like Word Life, Thug Life.
Yeah. Oh, he'd come out and he'd do a new rap like every night. Yeah. It's like, but he was so entertaining, and that's why we liked him, because he'd come out and he was like, he didn't care, and then he, won the championship. It was like, yeah, and then he just started winning and becoming lamer and lamer. Like he became not too kid friendly, but too. He lost his edge. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was almost like, and I feel like, in a sense, that was because he was so successful in and out of the ring.
Oh, totally.
Where they were just kind of like, we'll keep him here because he's making so much money for us, like his merchandise.
Oh my god!
And like does all the Make-A-Wish, and I feel like they kept him the same for way too long. And like you can make him a heel, you can make him face, but like. They didn't change it. Like,
no.
Even if you think about Undertaker, for a while, he changed into the American Badass.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes you gotta just completely mix it up. Like, you can't, for 10 years or more, just keep giving the fans this. That's like watching a repeat every night. Like, oh, I'm gonna watch Game of Thrones, but I'm just gonna watch the same episode every single time. Like,
totally.
You want something new. You need something new.
Well, when Hogan was eventually getting stale, and then he turned into the leader of the NWO. It's like that ignited the world, because the biggest good guy turned to the dark side. It's like, holy shit, what the fuck? I never thought I'd see this day.
Yeah.
Started wearing like the black trunks,
all black,
growing the black beard with the handlebar like stash. It's like, this is Hollywood Hogan now.
Yeah, because Hogan is a perfect example too, because he dried up so much, and it was just like his matches were getting so bad.
Yeah.
But then, once he changed character, all of a sudden he was super exciting again.
Yeah.
It was like whoa, what? Like we can get, like, now we're into it again.
Yeah.
And they just didn't do that with Cena. Like, they minor changes, like making him a heel. I remember, like, he had his feud with, like, Nexus, I think it was. And or the Shield or whatever that Nexus.
He did Nexus, yeah.
Yeah, and it was stale.
Here's one thing that I think WWE missed the boat on. I think a couple years ago, when they broke up the Shield, they should have, whether it be that year's main or the next year, that's when they should have pulled the trigger on a triple threat main event with those three. Because those three were the biggest stars at the time, other than Cena.
Yeah.
Who were around all the time. Like, they should have had, like, I don't know, like, Seth and Dean be battling all year, and then Seth, wins, like, the Money in the Bank, and Dean's going after him, and Dean wins the title. And this leads all the way on to the Rumble, and then have Roman win the Rumble. And then you have Seth, who wants a rematch. Dean is the champ, and then you have the number one contender. Set that triple threat. And it's like, because these three have never faced off, like, you've had like the Romans versus Rollins, but you've never had all three. It's like then you build up this whole story of like Seth being the bad guy, Roman being the good guy, and Dean kind of being that in between. You know what I mean? He's there for his title. Because to me, that was the biggest main event that they fucked up on for a Mania. They could have built that so well. Well, obviously, other than WCW versus WWF.
Yeah, the invasion angle was like the biggest botch ever.
Oh my god! Like I understand. Like they didn't want to buy out all those guys' contracts, but if they had not done the XFL and the restaurant in New York City, like $30 million, they could have easily afforded those guys. Hell, if they would have just not done the restaurant and still fucked up the XFL, they still could have bought those guys' contract.
Yeah.
And then like have literally Sting, Flair, the NWO, Goldberg. Like I think I was saying to you when we were watching the Rumble, if you had at WrestleMania 17 Rock versus Rock versus Austin, and then to end it before either one could get the fall, Goldberg comes out and spears the shit out of both of them, and then that's how you end the show with him standing there over your top two guys. I'm tuning in the next night to see what the fuck happens.
Because you're kind of just sitting there like, what the fuck? And that's what I kind of hate too. Like, they were supposed to, I think, make it like Bischoff buying the WCW instead of Shane.
Yeah.
But they couldn't tell Bischoff that was the plan until he was on board because obviously if he's like no, which he would have had tons of reason to say no because he just lost the like war to these guys.
He could have blew the whole
thing. He could have
just
been like, oh, they're going to do a WCW angle.
Yeah.
And it would fuck it all up. So they, and he was like, I'm not coming. So they didn't tell him. But Shane buying it in the first place ruined it there almost. Because, sure, for the storyline, like, Shane hated Vince, but how stupid are people? Like, it's Vince's son. Like, come on. Like, you got, like, we're not, like, the fans aren't that dumb. Like, you know, the story was just not good from the start. And, they had to make the invasion seem more real.
Yeah, they needed that just... It's like telling a good lie. You only need 2% of it to be true. The rest can be bullshit, but they need that grounded in reality.
Yeah, you need some, like, truth.
To me, having, like, Goldberg just show up, no music, just from the crowd, spear both, standing over, cops taking Goldberg out. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, holy shit. The next time you see a wrestler, it's like he jumps into another match. It's like Sting, but like not Sting with the makeup. Like Sting comes in with a bat and just decks Undertaker, you know? And then it's like you start seeing security around more events and shit like that.
Yeah.
And then even like I would totally bring a newscaster on to make it like do like a story piece where it's like they're doing an interview and then have one of those WCW wrestlers show up and start cussing out somebody else. Like not fighting, just cussing where you're like, holy shit, how fucking real can you make this? You know what I mean? Like just those little...
Push the envelope.
Yeah, just those little small things.
Yeah. Yeah, they completely botched it. It would have been so cool to see the top stars of WCW, like Sting even, if they could have got him. Like I know like that wasn't their fault really, he didn't want to come over, but he also said he didn't want to come over because he saw the treatment of the other WCW stars.
Oh, totally.
And it's like, maybe if they had to just... Like, if they didn't fuck it up so bad at the start, they might have actually got Sting earlier, like in his prime. You never know.
Oh, totally. Could you imagine Sting in WWE? Like, what do you do with Sting when you get him? It's like, who do you put him with first?
Against The Undertaker.
I think you build to that, but you got to put him against someone so he can get some wins.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You got to get him over, and then it's like Battle of the Dead Man. Like,
it's like, dude, you got the Crow versus the Dead Man, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, that would have been... like... Both guys, their entrance, they just lights out in the ring. Yeah. Lights out in the ring. No music.
They're just like, they both look at each other like, what the fuck?
Lights out, pinfall, done.
That would be hilarious.
Lights out, and then it's like,
the ref's down.
Double count out. Yeah, the ref's out.
The ref's down. Like, they're like, did you hit him? No, I didn't do that. Fuck.
We should be writers for WWE.
You know, I honestly been saying that Vince McMahon, I tell you, I'll make you more money than, Vince Russo ever did. Yeah. And I'll make sense because my ideas come to me all the time. Oh, God. Could you imagine, though, having to write for, 3 hours for Raw, 2 hours for SmackDown?
Impossible.
205 Live for an hour and a half.
Impossible.
And all building to, like, a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Like,
it really would be impossible. Like, I don't know how they do it because pulling off a 3-hour production.
Oh yeah,
would not be easy. Even for like a local sporting game, like I'm thinking Moosehead's example, Halifax Mooseheads.
Yeah,
their productions are intense.
Oh my god,
they're not easy, and that's like local cable TV, and like that's it. It's like think about a national scale.
Yeah,
and way bigger. Like the camera angles in wrestling are more of a storyline than in any other sport, because you need the perfect camera angle to sell a finisher, or to some, you're not going to be doing an overhead shot when someone lands their finisher.
Yeah.
And, you've got to have like that perfect shot. You can't like be panning to the crowd at
the end of the match. 1, 2. Oh, here's the lovely crowd tonight.
And here's a sign.
Yeah. Oh, like I would be stressed out anytime we did a live show like that. I would just be like, I'm gonna just drink like Sprite today, because if I eat, I'll throw up. Yeah. Like I find when I go on set for a movie or a film shoot where it's like, we're filming this it's not live, we're gonna edit it later, but the fact is like it's high pressure environment. Like as you said, you've worked on TV, I've worked in film. It's like it's not fucking easy. The fact that they pull that up every week, 3 times a week. Fuck, tip your hat.
And everything, like, I was in a television course, and I took it at NSCC for a year, but everything in, like, TV, like, as far as a production, if it's a repeating production, so, like, Raw, you have your routine. Mm-hmm. So, like, they're in their routine now.
Yeah.
But even, like, with sports, it's so much easier, because, like, with hockey,
oh yeah,
you don't have to, like, no one's hitting a move that you need to cut the camera to. It's like, oh, someone has a breakaway.
Yeah,
let's cut to this camera.
Yeah,
and that's easy. But it's like someone's on the top, a tag team match, for example.
Yeah,
you've got 4 people. You have to, like, that'd be so stressful every single time. You can only have so much of a routine.
Oh yeah, and it's like if you hit the wrong camera angle movie when someone hits a move and they catches the wrong part where it looks like it doesn't hit him at all.
Yeah,
you just fucked up, took everybody out of the experience.
Yeah, and if you're the pyro guy when the Undertaker's coming out
and you burn him, you're gonna wind up the real dead man.
Yeah, it's funny, that guy got legit fired.
Oh my god, yeah.
So imagine the pressure they're under. You have Vince as a boss. Even if you had a really nice boss, that would be, even if you're directing, that'd be the most stressful thing ever. Now you have Vince McMahon as your boss, and you're still doing the most stressful production.
And Vince is no small man either. Vince is 6'2", and he's as wide as a fucking barn.
He is jacked, I'll give him that.
It's like Vince at 75 can kick the shit out of Prime Dylan whenever that hits. I hope it's sometime in the next 10 years.
Yeah. Prime Zach was 5 years ago. I'm washed up.
You're 17 was Prime Zach.
Yeah, that's right.
Jesus Christ. Oh, again, I wasn't expecting this to be a whole wrestling podcast. I'm glad it was, though.
Yeah.
Because holy fuck, it's good to find to have friends that like wrestling, other than just like, I love watching wrestling with my girlfriend, but she's terrible for, oh, that's fake. Why did he hit him there? Oh, that's bullshit. He missed the kick.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it'll drive me nuts, but it's so much fun. But it's like, it's so good to like be there with people who enjoy it, because nothing drives me more nuts than when I'm watching like wrestling at someone's house and there's that one person who's not into it who kind of gives off that vibe that we're stupid.
It takes away, they're like undermining you.
Yeah.
And it's like you need into it, like you all have to buy into it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a thing, like you go in, wrestling's scripted.
Yeah.
Like whatever's like scheduled to happen is going to happen regardless. There's no like, it's not like hockey where the home crowd like, can do something, or a bad bounce. It's like, this is going to happen, but if you buy into it, into the storyline, invest your time into it, it's like the best thing. It's so entertaining.
It's like, as you said, you buy into it. You just suspend your disbelief. No matter how absurd it gets, you just sit there like, okay, imagine if we just were sitting around watching Star Wars being like, oh, those swords don't exist, or, oh, he cut off his hand, he should be in a little more pain than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, of course he's his dad. In this big universe, it's a dad fighting a son. It'd just be like, fun.
Yeah. Yeah. How did they build those ships?
Yeah. Imagine the money that would cost. Yeah. Are they in debt? Who are they in debt to? Oh, fuck. But yeah, for me, as I was saying earlier, wrestling is one of those things that I find a lot of people get out for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people go to UFC, I think, more because it's like that whole macho, like, he can kick the shit up. You know what I like about UFC? the highlights.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about like watching the actual fight because the actual fight is usually pretty damn boring.
Yeah.
And it's like when you see a press conference, you're only seeing it for those big stars like Conor McGregor who will talk a lot of shit and then possibly throw a dolly through a bus.
Yeah, and even their press conferences are getting staged.
Oh yeah, totally. Well, they're taken right from WWE's book with like
Yeah.
I think it was Brock Lesnar who said Vince McMahon and Dana White are in the same racket. One's just predetermined and Vince can do it better. He's like, he's been promoting this for like, 30 years?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny though, like, getting out here with you, like, talking wrestling. Like you said, we were planning on talking all wrestling, but when you finally have someone, you can just get that off your chest.
Oh my God.
I have literally no friend that I can just get all this wrestling out and them actually be interested.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you tell someone, they're like, oh, okay, oh, yeah.
It's like when you're telling your aunt you like to game, and she's like, oh, what do you like to play? I'm like, oh, I'm playing Red Dead, where you play a cowboy, and she goes, oh.
Yeah, okay.
It's that's what I feel like. When you tell someone you're a wrestling fan, I feel like everybody gets this, that's fake, right? You get that, it's like...
You immediately feel like whoever you're telling is going to be like, I'm looking down on you.
Yeah, it's like I'm looking down on you or you're fucking retarded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Legit.
Oh, my.
But yeah, it's funny. This started as like a side piece of conversation, and it's turned into like this whole like
oh my God,
back and forth.
It shaped me as a person. Like, dear God, like when I write scripts, there are elements I subconsciously take from wrestling.
Yeah.
I had this idea for a film where it's like, what if you take like a wrestling concept, like this professional wrestler, but make it in this world where they take it as seriously as boxing. It's real in this world. It's like, what can you do? It's like, can you imagine like how many genres you could have? Like a wrestler who was this bad guy champ, and then he gets ousted by another bad guy. His manager turns on him.
Yeah.
And then you have like him learn from like this ancient wrestler, have him be like Ric Flair or something like that. And then the teacher gets the shit beaten out of him by the heel, and they have to have this one-on-one match. And you could have so much things. Like you have to have the old mentor come back when you think the hero's about to lose because there's too many people, and he comes out in an ambulance, like a normal wrestling thing. Like it'd just be bizarre. Starts chopping people.
A beer truck.
Yeah. What place can you see a beer truck, spray the shit out of a billionaire, and then a few years later see an Olympic gold medalist, a real life Olympic gold medalist, spray that same guy with milk?
Truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. It's funny. Vince, as egotistical and insane as he is, what you said you were talking about earlier, he does humble himself in the ring stories.
Oh, totally. And I think, to me, that's the one thing that Stephanie needs. Because for the most part, Stephanie never gets that humbleness. Yeah. So it almost seems like comes off as more egotistical because nobody is, giving her just desserts. She's just being an asshole without any consequences. Yeah. It's like Shane. I like Shane, but Shane should only wrestle once in a while. Because Shane does the same 5 moves. Yeah. Elbow from, the top rope through the table, coast to coast, the punches that don't have any impact to them. Yeah. And then he does like the swing dance or whatever with his arms.
It's kind of like his version of the Ollie shuffle.
Yeah, it's just
exactly. Like he's swinging the arms, he's shuffling his feet, and then he'll hit you with a couple jabs, and you're kind of like, okay. But I always find Shane McMahon entertaining.
Totally.
But I couldn't agree more. It's one of those things you can't have every week on Raw.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, okay, he's doing the same stuff. But if you see it maybe once a month, something like that, it's like a high-flying move, you get back into it. Shane back in, I remember he had an ambulance match with Kane.
Yeah.
That was vicious. I think it was Survivor Series.
Yeah, I think it was.
The same pay-per-view Undertaker had a Buried Alive match.
Yeah.
But that ambulance match, was crazy. They went backstage. They're, killing each other.
He drives his head into the ambulance door.
Yeah,
wasn't that the feud where he took the car battery to his testicles? It was
nuts. Yes. I was not at that show, but that was the feud. Yeah.
Where else are you gonna see that but in wrestling?
They have the most crazy, over the top stuff that if you can just buy in, it is the best content in the world.
And if you're listening to this and you're not a wrestling fan, first off, how the hell did you find this?
Yeah.
But
second of all, they probably didn't make it this far if they're not a wrestling fan.
If you haven't seen a wrestling show live, in the past few years, go to an independent one. There should be one around your town, because I'm from a small town of 300 people, and we even got them from once or twice a year. go and just sit there, even if it's in a gymnasium and there's 20 of you. You can have a blast there. Bring your friends.
All it takes is just letting yourself like absorb it. Just don't go in there with something on your mind to block out your enjoyment.
Yeah.
Just go in completely green, clear mind, and just see how you take it. I saw a show in Harbor Station. It was WrestleMania Revenge Tour, and it had like Batista, Edge, and it was one of the greatest things I ever saw in my life live. I could like up until that point, I was like 10 or 11, and I always thought chair shots were fake somehow. I thought there's no way. And so, I go, we voted, the fans got to vote, and they voted a street fight for Batista and Edge.
Yeah.
And they came out into the crowd, and my brother and I ran down to where they were fighting. It wasn't too far away from us. Like, we ran down the aisle, and I grabbed somebody's chair. Now, these chairs had a cushion on one side, but the back side was just full metal. Like, it was like a folding chair. And me, being the little fucker that I was, grabbed it, and while people are like cleared in a circle around them while they fight, I throw the chair in.
Yeah.
I was that kid. I was that fucker that throws the chair in. Edge, and I was throwing it to Batista. Because Edge was a heel and Batista was a face, and at that time I was only ever cheering for faces. Like, sometimes you like the heels now, but I only was like, so I'm like throwing this chair to Batista. Edge picks it up, drills Batista in the gut with it. I'm like, holy shit! That's the chair I just threw in. Wrestling's real. Wrestling's real.
Yeah. I would have laughed so hard if Edge would have like hit Batista and looked at him. Thanks, kid.
I'd be like, fuck.
And then Batista, why?
Batista grabs 10-year-old me. Batista bombs me on the concrete.
Heel turn right there.
All the fans around that are cheering for Batista throw me into the circle. I just get absolute bully circled, like shoved around. Destroyed.
That would be the greatest heel turn in history. Hey, they're letting they're gonna have pretty soon the first women's and men match again. When are they gonna start just Batista bombing children? Like, please, can we make this happen?
Yeah. Know what I think they need to make happen again? Bring back hardcore matches and make them hardcore.
Oh my god! One thing I've always been mad with is the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view. It should not be a pay-per-view. It should be a match when two people who have gone through so much shit, it's like, this is to settle it once and for all, and it's like, this is just their match. They need this.
Yeah, an Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
But Hell in a Cell is better than Elimination Chamber in the sense it's 1 versus 1.
Yeah.
It's better than a steel cage. Yeah. You're not trying to escape.
Yeah.
You're trying to you're trapped in this massive cell and you're trying to kill the other guy.
Yeah.
Like, the craziest Hell in the Cell ever, obviously Mankind and Taker. God, yeah. But like, and they don't even have to. I'm not saying wrestlers have to go up on that cell. Like, Mankind is insane.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
You don't have to do that. But like the DX, Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon, and Big Show, Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
They never went outside of the cell once.
Yeah.
Like, they literally didn't open the door, go outside once. It was all in the cell.
Yeah.
And it was crazy.
Oh my god, yeah.
And like, there was no one flying off the cell. Like, no one's like Shane or Mick Foley. Like, no one's that crazy. But like, they should do some things where like you climb up the cell. They should make the cell a bit more involved rather than only use it to smash someone's face into it. Like, you should try to
get creative with it.
Get creative. Do like a high flying move or something like that.
Yeah, or when someone throws you into the cage, use the cage to like springboard yourself at them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, my favorite Hell in the Cell match, obviously besides Mick Foley's one, I think Mick Foley's on everybody's list, is Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker in 2002, because this made Brock Lesnar a star. Because the whole promo was, Undertaker, always in a Hell in a Cell, makes somebody famous. He kicks the crap out of him. At the end, Brock Lesnar beat him in the center of the ring. No cheating, nothing like that.
Yep.
He gets on top and he holds his belt. And then I think it was JR or Michael Cole said, Undertaker, he made Brock famous, all right. And then it cuts to Brock holding the title, and Undertaker's bloody, just looking up. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah. He came out full beast mode in 2002.
Oh my god.
Another good Hell in a Cell was the one where Rikishi got thrown off into that was like a hay truck or something.
Which is very random.
Yeah, it was. I can't. The truck had a bunch of hay in it. I can't remember what the truck was for. But yeah, that was a dangerous fall. Like, he went back for like. it's not like, I know these are super dangerous too. Like when you're getting pushed, a TLC pushed off the ladder into the 4 tables that are stacked out at the bottom of the ramp.
There's a little bit of give though.
You at least see where you're going.
Yeah.
You can judge your landing a little bit. It's obviously still insane, but like Rikishi, he like living on a prayer, backdropped. What if he missed the truck?
Yeah.
What if he was a bit off? Or what if he was a bit short, like just cracked his head on the tail, like the edge of the truck? Like,
yeah. Oh my God. I always say it looks like Undertaker just barely pushed him. Like they say he chokeslammed him. He pushed him, but that's what it is. It's a leap of faith backwards and hoping that the truck is where it's supposed to be. Like someone didn't bump it and it moves slightly, so you hit your head off the truck bed or something like that.
It's absolutely insane. Like,
or they put enough fucking hay in there because that truck doesn't have much give. That's solid wood back there. It's just boom.
I wouldn't have that much trust in my own mother.
No.
That Rikishi put an Undertaker. Legit, that's life or death.
Oh my God.
You could botch that so easy.
Did you hear how Rikishi got talked into that though?
No.
So when he was being pitched at, Vince said, "We're gonna do this." Shane went up, did the back drop off, and then gets up and does it again a second time. And he's like, "Shit, if Shane does it twice just here in front of nobody, I have to do it in front of everybody or I'm gonna look like a bitch."
Jesus, I didn't hear that.
I think every McMahon is nuts.
They are.
Yeah.
And Linda is the only one I don't like at all. She's the reason for the PG era.
And Linda is also...
Well, the networks as well, but...
But Linda is also the one with no McMahon blood. She married into the family. She doesn't have Vince's DNA.
She doesn't, no.
So she's still, as much as I don't like her politics...
Yeah. She's in the Trump campaign.
Yeah, it's just like, oh my God.
Which, whatever, know. But
well, the fact that... What other industry... You can say Ronald Reagan with movies, but the fact that we've had an actor in the White House and also
a WWE
Hall of Famer is hilarious to me. Like there's the picture of like what was it? It's Trump, McMahon, Stephanie, Shane, Triple H, Linda, and there's like a kid in there with Trump, and they're like, almost everybody in this picture has received a Stone Cold Stunner at one point in their life. It's like, oh my
even
God.
Linda, yeah.
Oh my God.
It is too funny, and like, politics aside,
yeah,
it is funny that after Donald Trump's storyline, he is in the White House. This is no politics related. I'm not, going on a side here or anything like that, supporting or criticizing, but I just think it's so funny how this man got literally Stone Cold. Remember to preview when they announced Stone Cold was a special guest referee? He came in, he's like, "Donald Trump, Vince McMahon, this is my ring." And he gets up in Trump's face and he's like, "This is my damn ring, and you do what I say in this ring. Whatever I say goes." Yeah. That's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. The guy who's president of the United States right now has all the nuclear codes in the world.
Yeah.
Was made Stone Cold Steve Austin's bitch at one point.
And this is why I think Stone Cold Steve Austin should be the next president of the United States.
Austin 2020.
Yeah. That would be... I'd buy that shirt right there.
It's too bad he didn't run in 16. Because you could say, Austin 16!
Yeah.
2016!
Oh my God. See, that right there would be just a funny storyline. Austin runs for president. It's like, have him there like in the UN. You could do a skit where he's like, "All right, who's got the beer? North Korea, you got a beer?" He's like, "What's your problem?" They immediately bow, "Son of a bitch," and then like have a Kim Jong-un impersonator and then just stun him. It's like, there, war's over.
You know what's crazy? He'd probably win.
Oh my God.
It's the States.
Oh my God. It would just, it's like, he's got the redneck group. Yep. He's got the people that's like, because Stone Cold is pretty, for someone who you think is this old redneck Texan, he's pretty, like, liberal with his views on, like,
he's got a hat on his shoulder. He's not.
Yeah, he's not
like,
nuts.
Not as much the character you saw on TV. He's actually just like a pretty like normal guy.
Yeah, he's just a Southern guy. He's got that.
He's Southern, but
he's got, and there's nothing wrong with Southern people. He's just got that like Southern like way of thinking where he's like, "I'm a simple man. I'm a meat potatoes, beer."
Skinner on the radio.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna. And
I love Leonard Skinner.
Yeah, it's just that simple type of, Southern culture. And I can relate to that. I'm from a small town which basically embraces that.
I'm from Churro.
Yeah.
We're all rednecks in Churro.
Yeah, it's great. Redneck isn't bad. It's racist and people who want to control other people's lives. And they're on the left, too. Liberals have their rednecks, too. Like, their version. It's just like, an extremist in any group is absolutely insane, except when it comes to Extreme Championship Wrestling. And on that note, I think we're going to cut this podcast off, guys. Thank you for listening. Zach, you're the man. Thank you for showing up.
Thanks for having me, man. It's been a blast.
All right, everybody. As normal, tune in next week. Until then, keep on binging.